All right, we are live. Happy Friday, everybody. Ready for the weekend? Happy Friday. So this is Adam Ash from Hondros College and Ashmont Realty. Welcome to the Real Estate Exam Study Group. And I have a very special guest with me today, Paizley Allen in the house. You got to do this, right? There you go. Now you're there. All right. Well, we're going to talk to Paizley. She just passed her test. Well, it's been almost 3 weeks. I think it's 2.5 weeks. It was on a Friday. Yeah. It was, it was on a Friday.
Yeah,
okay.
Like
2 Fridays ago. All right. Good memory. I slipped. But we're going to talk to her. She's going to go over all the different tips and tactics and everything for us to help you pass your real estate exam. So everyone's jumping in here. So we're going to talk to her and much more right after this. Welcome, Paizley. Thanks for joining. So we got some people filing in, and we are live. It's Friday afternoon, April 28th at 2 o'clock. So if you have any questions for her, go ahead and put it in the comments, and Paizley will answer them. So we got people coming on, thumbs up. So great. All right. Well, Paizley, thanks for coming. And well, tell us a little bit about you. Where are you from? What you've been up to? What's going on?
Hi, happy Friday, everyone. I am Paizley. I'm from Dayton. I pretty much lived here all of my life. I was in the Air Force for about 6 years. So during that time, I traveled and lived in some other places for a bit. But this is still my home. My family is here. So I've kind of settled here for now and jumping into real estate.
Yeah, thanks for your service. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
So, well, let's talk a little bit about, we got a lot of people joining. Man, you're popular, Paizley. Got a lot of people joining today. Maybe in the afternoons, good, is the better time to have it. We've done it in the mornings and at nights, but 2 o'clock, maybe the sweet spot on Fridays.
I think so.
But, I think so, or maybe it's just you bringing in all the people. But where did you, how did you, we already got a comment. It's throwing me off. But where did you go to college for your real estate?
So, yes, I signed up and I went to Hondros for the real estate program. Actually, funny thing is Sinclair Community College, they have a real estate program as well. They have some other things like combined with it. I think you have to do like construction. They teach you kind of some ins and outs of like building a house and things like that. But I decided to ultimately go to Hondros. I did some research and I found out that Hondros was the best option as far in terms of flexibility and things like that. So,
yeah, I agree. And I'm not saying it because I work there too, but like it is. It's so convenient because we have a question already. Eris Allen, she asked how do I become a realtor? If you want to put, yeah, there she is. I did a video on YouTube, guys, and I'll send it to you, Eris, that, about how much does it cost, how to do that. I'll be more than happy. I'll put that in the comments section.
Looks hi, Eris.
You know her? All right. Well, she's watching. She's watching. So I'll send that to you. So send me a message, or I'll send it to Paizley. So we got some hearts for you. You are popular. I can't even get started on this interview. We got people hitting you up. There's Manda, two focus. So thank you, Amanda. Did you do everything online, Paizley, or did you go to Hondros for your classes?
No, so I did everything online. When I first started, it's really been a journey. It's pretty cool to be here right now, but I was going to go in person, and I just decided, because I work full time, I decided to go ahead and just do everything online. So I could, once I got off work, I could study at my own leisure and, be in a space where I could focus versus trying to force myself to go into class after work and other commitments. So.
Yeah, it's difficult to do both. I mean, for sure. Even if you're doing it online, it makes it really nice. So you did everything online. So when did you get started? So you clearly passed your test a couple Fridays ago. But like, when did you get started with everything? Your the whole process. It's all right. You can be honest,
you
Paisley.
want
That
the
we're keeping it real. We're keeping it real
okay,
here.
you want the
It's
real
okay
true
because
answer?
because there's a lot of people that are worse than you that need that help, and I want to let them know, like, you can do this even if you started a year ago. Like, it's never too late. So, do you mind?
So yeah, so I bought the course on a whim. I was watching Tampa Real Estate on Netflix, and
Oh,
a
yeah.
friend of mine who's also in the Air Force, he's still in actually. We were talking about it, and it just random conversation. We both decided that we were gonna take the real estate program at Hondros and go online. He actually
Okay.
lives in the Columbus area, but we talked about it, and I signed up for the course and bought it. I want to say like January 2022.
Okay.
And I was doing a lot of traveling and had a whole lot of other things going on. So at the time, I didn't really tap into the course. Like I
Mm-hmm.
started and I was reading into it, but pretty much every day I was maybe doing like one page. I wasn't really focused on it. And I would
Mm-hmm.
say about July of 2022, I picked it back up. And from July until now, like I took that time to really finish all 4 classes and
Okay.
then take my test. So
Got it. So I mean, I've heard a lot worse, Paisley, so don't feel bad. There's a lot of people, that get started in it. You have about 6 months to get it completed. You have to pay for like some extenders. So that's one thing I would say
yes.
is like, yeah, you're if if you do that, like, try to get it done in 6 months, because I don't want anyone to pay for something if they don't have to. Because some people buy it and sit on it like you did, so, and that's
Yes, let's
okay.
not do that. Let's not
Okay.
do that because I
Okay.
definitely did that and I had to pay a lot of extension fees. Not a lot, I
Yeah.
would say probably once or twice at least I paid for extension fees and I was just like, I kind of wish I would have went ahead and did it when I first started,
Mhm.
but I was like everything works out perfectly, so I just did what I
Yeah.
had to do and I'm glad
Mhm.
that I went this route. But I would say when you buy the course, like do it with the intention to just go straight through it versus like,
Okay.
oh, I got all the time to do it because it's online and there's no one saying, hey, your assignment's due today, or hey, did you
Right.
study today? It's completely self-paced, so you want to make sure you buy it with the intention like, I'm getting into real estate and I'm going to do this in this allotted time frame.
So I mean, this is a little different than some of the questions, but if Paisley, if you were the queen for the day and you
Mm-hmm.
had all the time in the world to do it, how long do you think, like, how long do you say, listen, you should get it done in a couple months, in a month, 3 months, 1 month? What would you say for people at home that, like, listen, if you do this, you can get this done in a couple months or whatever? What would you say?
um I would say if you treat it like your other commitments. I would say like for me, Monday through Friday is the days that I is like all business for me.
Okay.
So if you can do it Monday through Friday and put a couple hours in a day, then you can most certainly finish it in a couple months. And then on the weekends, if you say, you know what, I really want to finish it. So on Saturdays, I'm going to devote like 5 hours to work on it on Saturdays, then
Hmm.
I would say do that. But I would say if you work on it maybe 5 to 7 nights a week, just to put in a couple hours to get through some, because it's more reading than anything. It's a
Yeah.
whole lot of pages and slides to get through, and there's no skipping. You have to really go through each slide, and there's a like time limit on each one. So you can't just click through it. You actually really have to, try and take in the information. Then there's little like tests and questions throughout. So yeah, you really have to you put some time in it just for all of the reading. But if you say like every week or every day I'm going to devote a couple hours a day, you can definitely finish it within 3 to 6 months. No brainer.
Yeah, 100%. I would recommend like 2 months. I know agents. I say agents because they pass their exam. That's the
Mm-hmm.
key, because you could in theory do it like 24/7 for 2 weeks and get it done. But I
Yeah.
mean, I've seen people do it in a month. But within 2 months, you could have this all done. You really can.
Yeah.
Because by the time, if you delay it, by the time you get near the end, you forgot everything from the beginning. So
Very true. Very
yeah.
true. And I think it's really about the person, honestly, like how you study, how you learn.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I said intention is the key word here, because if you are intentional about it and you say, you know what, I'm doing this real estate, like this is my focus right now, then
Mm-hmm.
you can get it done pretty quick. But for me, I always have a lot of different things going on at one time. Like I said, you know, in the military, then transitioning out and full-time job, and also I was doing other school, but I'm not talking about that. So
Okay.
it's just so many
That's
things
another
going on at
podcast.
one time. Yes.
Okay.
So just be intentional and say, you know what, this is my focus. Like try not to uh, have any other, you know, major commitments so that you can focus on this and get it done. Just breeze
Yeah.
through it.
So what did you, once you finished like all your schooling, because it took a while, it took a few months, right?
Mm-hmm.
What were some things that you did to prepare for the exam, Paisley, that you're like, oh, I'm so glad I did that? Because for everyone at home, she passed her first try.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. All right. But what did you do once you got through all your videos? Like, okay, I got all done. Now I got to really get serious about the exam. What did you study? Like, does that make sense? Like, how did you
Yes.
go from 6 months of studying to like, I got to get like hyper focused now and start getting ready for that exam?
So when it was all done, like once I got through all the courses and took my final exams after each course, what I did, there's a part of the program that has CompuCram. It's called CompuCram. So I
Mm-hmm.
did that. I got really heavy into CompuCram. Like once I finished the last class and exam, it was kind of like you get that little moment where you're like, "Oh, I'm done," but there's so much more to go.
Oh, yeah. That's where the work begins. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So I did the CompuCram, and
Mm-hmm.
I pretty much spent like, I'd say about an hour or so a day. So once I got off work at night and I got settled, I would get on CompuCram and just go through all of the questions. That was really helpful for me because it creates that familiarity. So the more you
Mm-hmm.
see the questions, you're like, oh, you go, oh, I saw this before, or I remember this question. So just cycling through the questions and answering, it really helped me to kind of pause and slow down and absorb what I was reading versus just skipping through and clicking the answer. So and then
Okay.
doing that every day consistently, that really helps. So CompuCram was one. That pretty much carried me all the way through. And then I had a call with Jaden, and she kind of like
Mm-hmm.
went over the chapters that I should look over and study. And I really saved that part until the end, like right before it was time for me to take the test.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also did the crammer class. So Hondros, they offer a crammer class where it's pretty much like mock exam day. So you'll do
Mm-hmm.
3 hours of exam in the morning, and then in the afternoon you go over all the questions.
Yeah.
And so that helped me to gauge where I was once I finished with CompuCram, because I was like right on the cusp, and I was like, I'm not extending this program again. So when CompuCram ends, then it's time for me to take my test. And so it
Okay.
expired. Yeah, it expired on me, like I would say 2 days after I took the crammer class.
Okay.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
took the crammer
Well, that
and
was
I
good. It
got,
gave you a little deadline.
yes,
Mhm.
exactly. And I was like, okay, so which was good for me. And when I took the Kramer class, I think I got a 69. So I was like, okay, this is where I am. I need to keep studying. And then I took the list that Jaden gave me and I went through the chapters. And then I also, last thing, I bought the PSI 134 exam prep. So it was kind of like that CompuCram for me. It helped me to
Mhm.
have those questions playing automatically and answering the questions. So I was like, okay, well, I think we're going to do good.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
so, I'm gonna reiterate. So you use the CompuCram, that's Hondros,
Mm-hmm.
and you thought
Yes.
that was really good, and I like you study like an hour a night.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't study this stuff for 3 or 4 hours. It's just too much. Your
Mm-hmm.
brain melts, right? So you did
Yes.
that, and then you got with, Jane Johnston. That's with us, and that was something that we provide free for our agents. So you went through with the exam prep 70 plus class,
Mm-hmm.
and then you also bought, and we get this question all the time, every podcast or that we interview we do is you bought the PSI exam prep stuff. It's like
Yes.
50 bucks, the questions.
I want to say it may have been less than that. I want to say it may have been like $29 or $40. Like, but
Was it,
get
was
it.
it the
If you can
practice
get it.
test? Was it like the online? Oh,
Yes.
it used to be 50. I don't know. If anyone's listening, did the price drop? Because I tell you, I bet this group alone has sold 200 of those subscriptions.
Really?
Everyone talks about it all the time. And but it used to be 50. Maybe they dropped the price. I don't know. They should have upped it, but that's just between you and me. So, but someone says I paid 50.
Okay.
So,
I
okay,
may
thank
have
you.
and didn't even realize. Oh, no. I see it now. So National Real Estate Salesperson Practice Test. I paid $29.99 for it on the PSI website. So you have options. It's like 134 questions versus 500 and something. I was like, 500 questions is excessive. I'm not doing that.
I see. There's a scaled down version.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Okay, so there's a 500. That's the 130. Okay, we got Kesha.
Yes.
Yep.
The 134
Yep.
price is $29.99, which that
Okay.
was all I felt like I needed. I was like, the 500 to me, that was over excessive. I was like, I don't want that many questions swirling in my head because I'll overthink
Got
it.
it. Okay. I think though, one thing I really liked about that, thank you, Miss King, is that you it kind of gives you not kind of, it gives you a feel exactly what the exam looks like, right?
Yes.
So that smaller version looked exactly like the exam, right? Like the buttons and the colors and the layout and everything, right?
Pretty much, yes. Yep, pretty
Okay.
much.
Yeah. I think that's important because you kind of like, it's almost like you get a little test drive or muscle memory. Like you were in the military. I'm guessing they like made you practice a million times of a drill, and maybe you'll never use that drill, but when that day comes, you'll be ready for it. Yeah. Like you've ran through it a million times. So yeah,
Right.
that's good. I didn't know there was a scaled down version. So I learned something today. So it was only $29 for 134 questions.
Yes. Yep.
Right? Okay.
$29.99.
All right, guys. Maybe get the 134 question price for $29 instead. It gives you a little layout of what it looks like and use the CompuCrammer. So, okay. So, was there anything else that you were like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I studied that because it really saved my butt?
I would say I did really, really good on the Ohio portion of the test, which was most of the law book, like we talked about. I would say, especially if you don't have access to PSI or to CompuCram, PSI is going to be your best friend because you need that. It puts you in test mode to have those questions cycling through. Like you don't know what's going to pop up next versus you going against your own mind and trying to like read through the pages and study. The PSI puts you in testing mode. So I was like, okay, when I go in here, I know that it's going to be similar to this. Any question could pop up. And from there, the test builds off of that. So like you said, that muscle memory, but definitely law and math. Get familiar with like some of the key like math numbers. Like I would say what came up was the 43,560 square feet that came up. So you want to remember that number in your head.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. That's an appraisal and P&P. Okay. So that one. Well, let's segue into math.
Okay.
You open up that can of worms, Paizley. So we're gonna do it. Everyone hates math. Everyone hates it. Once in a while, I interviewed a student that was wanting to onboard. And they said, I love math. And I was like, you're crazy. So you're the only one that ever said that. So so math, do you remember how many math questions you had, Paizley? Do you remember?
I had about 5.
Oh, you got lucky then. Okay. Yeah, that's a minimum. Minimum's 5, max is 10. So you had one of the acres and township question.
Yes.
Do you remember anything else that you could?
Also the plottage. So the 640 acres and dividing that by the little parcels. That's one that I had. So you want to know your northeast, southwest,
Okay.
those kinds of numbers. You
Mm-hmm.
want to know your 1/4 and 1/6, blah blah blah. You want to know that
Mm-hmm.
because I definitely got a question on that.
Okay. Good. Anything with like commissions or anything with like down payments or anything like, does that ring
Yes,
a bell at all? Okay.
commissions and down payments, your 3.5%. Your it's so that stuff was kind of basic for me, just like you know how to calculate the percentage of something. So just refresh your memory on that. If the percentage was 6%, and what does the sale price need to be in order for the seller to get $10,000 outside of the commission and the sale price? That was one of the questions.
Mm-hmm.
Also calculate the commission. So your percentages, the parcel one, the square feet one, and one that I thought might have been on there. Or no, it might have been because I feel like I used it. I studied for the amortization table,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like all prepared, and I don't think I even got a question on that.
I don't hear that on there much.
And they
Yeah.
give you a copy when you take your test. So I was expecting me to have a question because I had a copy, but I don't think I got one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if anyone at home that has taken their test got that question. If so, put it in the comments. I'd be interested. I don't hear that too much. I mean, it could be they just blocked it out because it was
Mhm.
traumatic or something. But
I could
yeah,
see that.
yeah. I think so. I guess my question to you is, and I ask this all the time, like, do you think math was like super hard?
I wouldn't say that it was.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the CompuCram and the PSI, it really helped me to kick my mind back into that gear.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the anxiety of it all makes you think like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do this. But if you remember those key numbers, like I said, mention the 43,560 square feet and your
Mm-hmm.
acreage. It's not super heavy formulas that you need to remember. I also thought I might have needed to know like the income rate value formula, but I ended up not needing to know that. So I would say if your basic math skills are pretty good, then you should be good because it's multiple choice. So one of the answers is right. So if you know how to do your basic math part, you can calculate down from whatever one of the answers is. You might have to go through it 4 times in order for it
Mm-hmm.
to add up, but it'll help you that way if you know your basic stuff. So
Did you feel like the math questions, Paisley, were like, you have 4 answers. You feel like two of them, like, boy, they're kind of close. They maybe could be, and there's maybe another answer, like, oh my gosh, that's not it. Clearly, that doesn't make any sense. Is that
yes, I do
like
remember
process
one like that.
elimination? Okay,
Process of
like,
elimination is big.
mm-hmm,
One is popping into my head right now. I'm trying to think of what it was. It, I don't think it was amortization specifically, but it was something similar to the effect of like, if the monthly payment for the first month is this much, then what will the payment be in 3 months at this percentage or something like that? Something similar. So that
okay,
where I was kind of like, oh, I'm not sure what this is, but again, the basic portion of it, like once I was able to go through at least half of the steps, I was like, okay, these two answers are too far off.
mm-hmm,
So it has to be A or B.
yeah,
So
good
yeah.
job. Yeah, that's a good job. Um, was there, I guess, was there anything that you studied, and I think you touched on it, that you were like, I kind of wasted a lot of time farting around with that? Was it a lot of the
Not
math stuff, the equations, or
not
did you not
really.
spend much time in it? Okay. I know we coached
No.
you not to
I
focus
didn't
on it.
spend too
Okay,
much time on the math.
good.
Honestly, I would say I really cycled through everything, a lot on the contracts, a lot on the dual agency, like
Mhm,
relationships and disclosures. I would say that came up quite a bit. And that was one of my weakest spots when I was studying with the CompuCram and the um, PSI, just because it was a little confusing the way the questions were.
mhm,
But really, to top it off, I would say like once you go through those parts and study, I definitely, my number one, like, holy grail is CompuCram PSI. And then secondly is mindset. Like, I went in with the mind that I'm going to pass on my first go. And me, I can go really deep on stuff, honestly. And I was like, let's not do that, because I don't want to get something wrong and like overthink it. And so I think like doing all the prep that I did, it helped me to not overthink it. Like, read the question twice, three times if you have to make sure that you're not taking in too much information, because they will throw some information in those questions and you're like, okay, wait, they said this was 9%. And then, do I need to know that? But then when you read it again, you're like, they just threw that in there just because. I don't even need to know that.
That's a good one. One thing that I like that you said was, is read the question a couple times, right? Because there's a lot of double negatives. There's a lot of things they throw in the question that has nothing to do with what you're trying to figure out to throw you off. And I like how you said that. So let me ask you this. This is good stuff. We're going a little long, but this is good stuff. So now you read each question a couple times, maybe 3 times. Is that fair? Did you have
Yes.
did you run out of time? Did they say, "Hey, Paizley, time's up. You got to leave," and you were just answering all these questions as fast as you could, or did you have plenty of time?
So I definitely went all of my time on the national portion. I got
so
a
right down
message
to the
that
wire.
said, yep, I got a message that said 20 minutes left. And so, and at that time, I think I was like going through all the questions and reviewing my answers at that time. So,
So
yeah.
you had 20 minutes to spare. Is that what you're saying?
Not really, but I was close. Like, when I was answering the
Okay.
last few questions, I got the 20-minute, box pop up. And so then I started reviewing after I answered them, like, okay, let me make sure, because it does allow you to mark and go back to questions that you were unsure about. So I did that a couple times, and I like needed to remove those flags. So I'm like, 20 minutes, I need to go through and remove the flags on ones that I wasn't sure about.
Okay. Did you change any answers out of curiosity?
1 or 2.
You did. Okay. I wonder if you got those right the first time, because that's kind of a card. If you might overthink it, unless you just don't know and you're like, I'm going to mark it and I'll just go back to it later. So, yeah. But I think you said something that's really important, is you had the right mindset. Like, I'm going to go and I'm going to pass this. Don't take that exam saying, I hate when people say this. They'll say, I'm just going to take it and just see what happens. If I fail, it's fine. Don't give that money to the freaking state of Ohio. Don't do that. Like, what a waste of time and money. Like, don't even do that to yourself. Like, get prepped, have a plan. Like, make sure your broker has you on a plan and a strategy to take it. You can't study those books backward and forward. That's not a strategy. That's why we talk about this, on this podcast and these interviews. So very good. We're wrapping up here, guys. We are live. It's 2:30, almost on the nose. So if you have any questions for Paizley, now's the time. If not, put them in the comments. I know she'll answer them for you, as well. So anything, I guess one question I had for you, where did you take your exam, Paizley? Because I don't know if I remember. She kept it from me. I didn't know she was taking it. She just texted me and said I passed. And I was like, what? So did you take it in Troy, or do you go to Cincy? Where did you take it?
So I'm glad you asked that. That's a very, very important thing. I'm big on the environment, and I did some research. So they have like a brain seed center in Troy, and then they also have this this hangar, and like a hangar is where they put the planes like near the flight line and stuff like that. So they have a hangar in Hamilton. And I was like, oh, I know this environment. Like, this is how I used to test. So I went to that place because the Brain Seed place had, can I say this online? The Brain Seed Center had terrible reviews. Everyone said like whoever the attendant was rude, and the environment was chaotic.
Totally
yeah.
Really?
So
Troy, the one in Troy. We had someone that took one in Troy, and I can't remember who it was. We had maybe 2, 3. I can't remember who took it in Troy. Okay, so I think you're the first one that took it in Hamilton. So anyone in Dayton or Cincy, take it in Hamilton. Is that what you're saying? How was the environment there?
It was quiet. It was quiet.
Great.
It was professional. The attendant, she got you in. You show up at the time that you chose. I chose 8 o'clock in the morning, and I got there. They take your ID and scan, and I mean you can't wear like a loose sweater or something, which I did do. So I had to take that off, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be cold, but it worked out perfectly. It was professional, and I was like, I'm in the best environment, and my mindset was I'm gonna pass, and that's just kind of what I went with. And so that top things.
Is it hard to find? I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry, cut you off.
No,
Was it hard to find it? The airplane hangar?
No.
In Hamilton?
No,
it's
if you follow the GPS, it's easy to find.
Is it? Okay. It's not like around a corner, hidden behind trees, or very easy to get to. Because one tip I would say is like, go check it out. Like maybe go the week before, a few days before, know where you're going, know what door to go in, because that way you're not nervous. Like you're worried about trying to park, and it's like your first day of school. You know, like you're always kind of nervous, like, well, I wonder where my classroom is. But then at the end of the semester, like it's like old hat, like, yeah, hey, teach, you know, and you sit down drinking your Mountain Dew or something. So, but very good. So, all right, well, thanks for the info. I appreciate it. So, guys, if you have any other questions, hit her up. That you onboarded too. So we're excited to have you, and you're going to do great.
Thank you.
I'm really proud of you. So thank you for joining, and thanks for watching, guys. This interview with Paizley Allen on the Real Estate Exam Study Group. If you want to get into real estate, we had a couple people that asked. Put in the comments below. I'll send you that YouTube video. It goes through the cost, the prices, where to go, how long does it take, and it's great. It's great. And thanks again, guys. Have a great weekend. Happy Friday. We'll see you all very soon.